Welcome to the Venture Xperience podcast, featuring interviews with up-and-coming entrepreneurs and business leaders. Join our host as we peel behind the curtain into the motivations, tools, and strategies used by successful professionals. Welcome, everyone, to the Venture Xperience podcast. We have a very exciting show today. We're doing a Veterans Day edition of the podcast, and I have with me joining us is Ryan Gagne, who is a veteran himself, but also a franchise owner of the VentureX in Marlborough.
Thanks for letting me join in here today, Ruben. I really appreciate it. I hope the time that's spent here together is worthwhile for not only us, but also all the viewers.
Great. We have Ryan kind of remotely calling in today from his location in Marlborough. Tell us what's going on with the space.
Well, what I can tell you right now about the space is we have no vacancy. We are in our third month of 100% occupancy here.
Wow.
I'll tell you, it's a lot better than it looked October of 2020. But the facility here, we're just about to open our expansion space. We've gone and obtained a little bit more space that was contiguous to the workspace, so we could just blast through a wall and open it up. So I'll speak in future tense, but that's only a couple weeks away. We have 16,600 square feet of flexible workspace here. That's comprised of 59 private offices that range from 1 to 8 person team rooms. That includes a 5 office suite of suites. That's in the addition. That's 8 person or 9 person, I should say, team room with a huddle area in it that's set aside and secured, and actually already sold through December of 2023. So we haven't even opened that space and it's already sold. In addition to those spaces there, we have 4 private meeting rooms that range in size from small to large, all equipped with the latest in technologies that you'd expect here at any VentureX, 65-inch 4K TV, all the gadgetry you need to connect your device up to that screen, the full whiteboard wall and phones and whatnot. And our addition will also include a 24-person meeting and training center. That's something new for VentureX locations. It's something that we felt it was a need to have, not a want to have, here in the Marlborough area. We've got a huge demand. Even pre-pandemic, this was in the plans. We merely had to put it on hold for a little bit. But there's companies out there that just need, one day a month or maybe even quarterly or annually to get everyone together. And it's important getting everyone together. That space will, like I said, have seating for 24 in a classroom style, 30 in a boardroom setting. It'll be equipped with 6 50-inch TVs, as well as a lectern station, surround sound system, and one wall that will be equipped with several whiteboards on it. In that room is autonomous. It's actually get to from outside of our workspace, so we're able to actually open just that up on Saturdays and Sundays for anybody that's looking to do a weekend training or meeting as well, which is fantastic. The original workspace, in addition to all the meeting rooms, the private offices, it has 4 private phone rooms, of course, and a 2,000 square foot lounge and member caf. Since we opened in April of 2019, we've seen great success. Actually, up to the closure in March of 2020, we were at 76% in 50 weeks. So we knew we had a great location. From that side, the pandemic merely got in our way for a little bit, but we're back to it and growing. And I think that's partly as to where we are, centrally located here in Massachusetts. We're right between all the major interstates, and we're out on the suburban belt, which lends to a lot of people that don't necessarily want to commute all the way back into Boston anymore, which is 45 plus minutes drive each way. So we give them a Class A office space here in the suburbs.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, kudos to you with the success that you've had there. It's an amazing feat to to get to 100%, but to stay there is awesome. And I look forward to seeing the new expansion and come and seeing the new expansion in person. I just love that area and I love that market. When I was last there, I kind of do miss the chowder. Now, are you a chowder guy? And for any locals there, what's the best spot that you would recommend for that?
Well, I know you are a foodie, and yes, I am a chowder guy. Born and raised in that. Longer story for another day, possibly. But me personally, I'm a traditional New England chowder, which is actually a clear broth chowder. Most people think that it's a cream chowder. That's a secondary New England style, and of course the tertiary is in Manhattan, which is a red. Going for someplace for consistency, it really comes down to locals. And if you're in a particular spot, if you're on the Cape, there's a couple different places great for it. If you're in downtown Boston, of course, there's Legal Seafoods, which is a #1 hit. Fresh Catch out of North Attleboro and Mansfield is another great local maker of chowders. Me personally, I prefer to make my own.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. Next time I'm in town, I'm going to ask you for some of that homemade chowder. So,
okay, it takes a little bit, but that's not a problem. I'll see to it that I whip up a batch next time you're up.
Awesome, good deal. Well, thank you so much on giving us an update of the space. Let's take a step back though, and I want to really tell a little bit more about your story. We have Veterans Day coming up. But I want to find out more about kind of your background and what led you to your service. Now, you were in the Marine Corps, correct? And can you give us just a little bit of background there?
Yeah, sure. I served in the United States Marine Corps from 1989 to 1998. I was, I say fortunate, I don't know, unfortunately, through a portion of my service, I was activated. What's common term now is deployed. And sent over to the Persian Gulf. I landed there only about 15 months into my enlistment with the Marines. If you can recall, back in 1990, there was a bad guy named Saddam Hussein was pushing around a couple of countries over there on the other side of the world. So I landed there with the 1st Marine Division. We took up encampment about 30 miles short of the border. And then I participated in a couple different task forces, which then led us up through the breach and up to Kuwait City through the entire liberation process. The unit that I was with, the 1st Battalion, 25th Marines, which is an element of the 4th Marine Division, a reserve division, was one of only 5 reserve battalions that was activated for this entire thing. I felt that it was a bit of a prestigious thing to actually have been activated because we had the opportunity to show regular active duty Marines that even though we're quote unquote the weekend warriors, that we were ready to fight, and we were able to do so at that time. I was a whole 19 years old, full of vinegar, I guess, and ready to go. Learned a lot there. I was at the time studying law enforcement, criminal justice degree. And when I was activated and sent over, of course, that went on hold. When I returned, I kind of changed my mind and I said, business is probably a better direction. Well, I think I felt like I had done enough on trying to be the peacekeeper. I stayed with my enlistment for the remaining 6 years while I concurrently completed my bachelor's degree in finance, and stayed in. Once that completed, I stayed with the Marines for another 2 years after that first initial enlistment. The camaraderie that was built with the unit, especially going over to Desert Shield and Desert Storm, participating in those, and everything else that went along with it for the time that I was with them, really gave me a second family. In fact, some of my closest friends, and I stay in touch with on a routine basis, if not almost daily, with some of these guys. So it was a great experience. I think it was a necessary experience for me. I guess I was a little bit of a punk maybe in my teen years, and that straightened me out and got me in the right direction. Motivated me and gave me the ability to take on challenges like pursuing a college degree and doing that, and then striking out into business, which I did, shortly after, and it was a great success for me. It was a real big motivator.
Great, great. And you touched on it a little bit about kind of some of the most rewarding things from your time in the military, beyond the personal connections and that kind of family that follows you after into your civilian life from your veteran counterparts. Explain a little bit about kind of some of those other rewarding parts of the time that you served, and maybe some things that you learned that kind of stuck with you when you went into business.
Well, I guess a bit of it was, was his motivation. I know a lot of people doing college and military concurrently. You get to experience a bit of both worlds and see two different types of people in a lot of cases. And finding the motivation to get going on a Monday morning for 8 o'clock class can be a challenge for a 20-year-old kid. For me, no, it didn't. 8 o'clock, heck, that was, I could sleep in. So, and the ability to not settle. And that's something that I don't do even to this day. And it's, whether it be the cleanliness of the workspace here, or maybe a deal that we're trying to work through. I don't really settle. I see it all the way through. And that gives me a lot of comfort, because I see that a lot of people could do better if they had this discipline, and for me, it was at 17 years old, it was poured into my head vigorously. Yeah. for with the aid of some very courteous drill instructors. So
courteous is a nice word for it, I'm sure.
Yeah, they're very courteous. They're more than willing to help. Yeah. So it was a lot. It was a life lesson. Like I said, I appreciated it then, maybe not as much as I do now. But I learned from it, and that's stuff I carry with me still to this day.
So you would say the discipline and the drive is what really most impacted you during your time in the service, and what kind of stuck with you and made you really successful. So talk us a little bit about that transition from service to civilian life, and any kind of tips from your experience that you would share with another veteran looking to do the same thing.
Well, mine's I wouldn't say unique, but most of it was concurrent. My active duty time amounted to, about a year's worth of true active duty time over 8 years. So what I had to do was flip in and flip out, and just change hats per se. Fridays at about 5:30, it was okay, out of the college hoodie and into a set of camis, and then get to the base, and all weekend long play. I wouldn't say play Marine, but be a Marine. And then Sunday afternoon, about 5 o'clock, hop back in the car and drive back to college to pop that baseball hat and hoodie back on. And being able to transition one to the other routinely was, for me, it was nice because it was a change of pace. So I didn't get stuck necessarily in any given ruts. Funny story, at one point in my college career, we had 3 roommates of mine. We split a quad. So it was two bedrooms, or two, and with a common lounge area in the middle, living room per se. My roommate in my room was a good friend of mine who I served in the Gulf with and still had been serving in the Marines with at the time. And the other suite mates, one was a civilian, purebred civilian, who later on went on to fly fighter jets for the Air Force, which is amazing for him. But the fourth is he was an Army Ranger reservist. And it was interesting on Sunday nights, you'd see everyone panicking in the dorms, trying to get the paper done, trying to catch up or study or this or that. And you come into our room, maybe some music going on, maybe the TV or game on or something like that, but a bunch of chill dudes, and people are freaking out outside. And we're like, guys, if this is what panics you, You've got problems.
Yeah.
This is nothing. You're going to school. You're getting 3 squares a day. You got a roof over your, you're not sleeping in a hole, and no one's trying to shoot you.
Yeah.
Hopefully. So it's a bit different of a change. But the thing is you can't turn off that military discipline on Monday mornings, nor did you want to. I think it's what carried me a lot through college and gave me the ability to hold the positions I did extracurricularly while I was there at the school, and carry a job and get a bachelor's degree.
Yeah. So you had, because of your time and your roommates' time in the military, you had a different perspective from your other classmates. And that's a great story. Now, so you got out of the military, you're in school. Now, you said that at some point you decided to get more into business, and then I saw in your background you were in the financial services industry and FX, foreign exchange, and investment. So can you walk us through kind of that transition? What sparked your interest in getting in that space? And is there any kind of connection that you made in school that led you there, or a connection from your time in the service that led you to that industry?
Well, while I was over in the Gulf and debating on what to do when I got back to the civilian side of things, kind of go back to the weekend drills with the Marines and sort out what I wanted to do for education, that roommate, Jim, was studying accounting at the college. And he suggested, hey, you should transfer here and come to Bridgewater with me. And I said, yeah, okay, what are you studying there? And he goes, oh, I'm studying accounting. I was like, yes, accounting doesn't really interest me. I think of it just stuffed suits sitting in front of a computer all day long, per se, and it seems like boring, trivial work, which he later found out was, and he's now a lieutenant on a local city police department. Fast forward 20 something years. But what had interested me prior to was something that I shared a lot of time with, was talking investments and stocks with my father. Didn't really understand them well at the time. And he tried to do the fatherly thing and says, well, hey, if you buy this and it goes up and you sell it, you make money. So I felt the need to understand that better, not only for myself, but also for my father, because he didn't have that college degree and finance experience from there, but wanted it and always, and it was something that time-wise we'd spend talking about and understanding. It had a lot of applied math to it as well. I have a minor in mathematics because of it, and mathematics is something that I'm pretty good with. So from that side, I found it was a good fit. Stepped out of that experience there educationally and was able to secure a job with one of the larger, or now largest custodial banks in the world, State Street Bank. I was hired about 4 minutes into the interview when the interviewer looked down at my resume and said, "Oh, you're a Marine." I said, "Yeah." And he says, "Well, my father's retired Master Gunnery Sergeant." He says, "So you have the job. When would you like to start?" I was a bit at the time flattered, but also kind of, I don't know, I felt odd because it was that quick of an interview. But I later came to find is that, he leaned on his father's own experience and understanding as to the expectation that was going to be under me when I got hired, that I was going to be able to stay the course and actually, take on all of the challenges that this gentleman was about to throw at me, which I did. And starting at the bank as a mere fund accountant clerk, basically, which was ironic. It was a boring job in front of a computer and a stuffed suit, kind of what I didn't want to do. I moved rapidly through the ranks, and inside of 4 years, I became a vice president for State Street Bank. I had been promoted numerous times and then transferred over to the capital markets area, where I started working on electronic trading and e-commerce in the late 1990s. That's something that was incredibly new at the time. And I was on the forefront of that piece there. It was really fun for about 4 years there. had the opportunity to get numerous different registrations for stockbrokerage and commodities trading. Although I didn't apply it directly for work, they were required by law for me to have. It just helped me expand my education and experience there. I left the bank and moved over to a small startup company that was in the currency trading realm. And I stayed within there in different iterations, FX options and proprietary trading and other educational stuff in brokerage, FX related, up until about 2016. So about 16, 17 years of doing it. I had enough. I wanted to control my own destiny, and I had been able to make a little bit of money. So from that side, I had a little bit of a war chest to say, okay, I want to be my own boss. What kind of boss do I want to be? Yeah. Kind of folding it back in with VentureX. It's actually pretty interesting now in retrospect. I look at it, and at the time I didn't see it. I had the ability at the time to not only work in a lot of different iterations through the promotions and transfers within the company. I saw a lot of different ways in which people worked, whether it be high cubes or low cubes or teamed offices and whatnot, and even out on trading desks. If you've never been on a trading desk, but you know what coworking is, well, trading desks are the original coworking desks. Just imagine rows and rows and rows of all of your colleagues sitting next to you. You've got about 4 or 5 feet of desk space and a number of monitors and a phone or 2 or 3 in front of you, and to the next guy, and then the next person, and the next person, and the next person had it, and one in front of you and one's behind you, all on one large floor. Large co-working or trading desk floor I worked on had 350 plus people on it. Not one office was in the center of this. It was giant trading pit. It was actually amazing at the time to be part of that and work there. Coming over into the co-working and flexible workspace, this place was just that. It was just that. And, in and out of that, I worked remotely. I've worked for companies out of Florida, Georgia, New York, and London. And less than 3 times I visited any of their offices directly. I worked at the time using online technology, at the time, newest online technology like pre-Zoom, GoToMeeting, if anyone remembers that, and a few other online chat portals and AOL Instant Messenger.
Wow.
And I did work out of a couple competitors' workspaces through the course of the time as well. And what was really nice is out of all of this, I come into this workspace now, and when I worked remote, at one point for a few years, I had an private office in the house, shut door, could actually lock it. I had the barking dog. I had the little kids who would bust open, the door if it wasn't locked, in princess costumes, and Darth Vader would barge in. I could break away and have lunch, with them some days, and other days I've got my neighbor cutting his grass, at 2:00 while I'm on a conference call and the windows are open. So I'm running around trying to shut windows just so I don't listen to the lawnmower. And I worked I work from home now, even in an open concept house, which is very little privacy. So when any of the kids are home, trying to get work done, something like this, quite a challenge. How that fits in with VentureX is someone walks in, prospective member, somebody that just needs a day pass, just a place to hide for the day because their internet's out or because their kids are homesick or school vacation or whatever. And not only can I empathize with them, but I can relate directly because I've lived that in the last 20 years. I've been in that same situation. You're like, oh, okay, yeah. Oh, what kind of dog you have? You have a boxer, really? So what time does the UPS guy drive by? Well, 10, yeah, and you know it because that boxer is tearing the house apart trying to get to the UPS guy, and a lot of that. And I think my members here can see that and relate to it as well, because they know, hey, he's been there, he's done that, and he's looking out for us so that we don't have to ask necessarily for certain things. He's already seen that coming, and it's already there for us. And I think that's one of the reasons why we can speak to our success here, being at 100%, because we have that insight of actually doing it.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, all of your experience, I'm sure, even going back to the military of sharing resources amongst a whole group, and then in college you shared with the roommate, and then you went into the financial services industry, and you're working at basically some of the early versions of the open office plan at those trading desks. And then so you're able to empathize, you're able to relate with your members there, and they know that they can go to you because you've been in their shoes before. So I mean, that's huge. That's huge. Now walk us through why Marlborough. So you're in Marlborough there outside of Boston. Um, Walk us through kind of what went into choosing that market, and then what you offer to that, the benefits that you offer to that community by being there.
Sure. Well, I mean, full disclosure, Marlborough was not my first choice. I had a location that we were negotiating the lease on elsewhere. I don't want to disclose it because I still think it is a fantastic location. Maybe not the building, but there are some neighboring buildings that if I was to, or when I do explore a location in that area, I would definitely chase after. But after that failed lease negotiation, and what it was my opinion, the landlord, the building owner, was a bit older and didn't get the full concept of a flexible workspace. So we just couldn't come to terms on that. I went back to the broker that I was working with at the time that had been suggested from UFG. And I said to him, Kev, find me a new spot. I don't care where in the state, but it has to be within this radius. And he, being the broker, and when you're working with a large scale global commercial broker, they go back to their team and say, find me something new. So we came up here to Marlborough. It's a city that I am familiar with. Actually, a good college friend lives here in the city. And one of my employees is actually friends of his sister. Small town thing. The Marlborough itself isn't a small town. It's actually a city of about 35,000 people, and it hosts the second largest population of hotel rooms in the entire state of Massachusetts.
Wow.
Boasts just about 1,200 hotels, over 11 different hotel brands. We have everything from a Hyatt all the way down to, I would say, a Holiday Inn Express, and everything in between. It's a quite built up area with thanks to back in the late 70s and 80s, a company named Digital, which doesn't exist anymore, and a financial service firm that didn't want to work in downtown Boston anymore named Fidelity came out this way to Westboro, which is just the neighboring town. They started building up commercial space out here and followed suit in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s with everyone else coming out this way. A lot of notable names are out here. TJ Maxx is located just out of my eyesight. If I look out the window here, to name one, EMC is only a few miles from up and down. Ken's Foods, which is a very large distributor of salad dressings and other food products, is here. And BJ's Wholesale Club. So from that side, when I came to Marlborough, I said, okay, they know business. They know big business. Do they know small business? And fortunately, after meeting with the local economic development arm of the city, they said, we want co-working spaces like yours or flexible workspaces in the city because they're an important component to growth. And after unveiling to them my intent, I had unanimous support from the city council that we get exactly what we looked for here in this workspace, permitting and signage and everything that went along with it. Full blessing. In fact, one of the city councilors who's still presiding since I presented to them back in 2018 visits routinely. Retired gentleman, he's got a little bit of time on his hands, but he pops in because he loves what we do and how we do it here. And not just say that we're any different than any other VentureX location. He likes the notion that smaller companies, remote remote employees have a place to go where they have some camaraderie amongst peers, maybe not coworkers, but peers. They have the ability to seek out potentially other service providers that might be here within the workspace, and as well grow. And we've given the ability to grow, to boast or share some success of my members. I don't think I can really draw a straight line to it, but we have over $21 million in A-round funding that has come to VentureX members here in Marlborough in the last year and a half. We have another firm that is going back for another $8 million round right now. And that's information that's been shared with me. What else has happened here from that level? I could only venture to guess, no pun intended. But the city thrives on growth, and they see VentureX as a place for that. A great story to share, Ruben, is a company came to me in June of 2020. If you can remember that very dismal, dark period in our lives. 5 gentlemen walked in the door. I said, "Hi, how can I help you?" And I said, first to one of them, I said, "Wait a minute, I recognized you. You were trying to do a sales recruitment meeting at a local restaurant just down the street like 2 years ago before I opened." And he said, "Yeah." He says, "We've left that company and we're starting out on our own." And he said, "I remembered you, and you said you had offices and we need an office." Those 5 gentlemen are in residential solar sales, and they started their company here in one of our offices. Before they moved out, they not only grew from that one single 5-person office up to 2 5s and 8, 3 and 2 singles. So I think they had somewhere in the area of a low 20 headcount for seating. They had also opened up 4 other sales offices in VentureX's in South Carolina, Chicago, Virginia, and North Carolina. They were looking to open in Florida. And if we had one in Nevada, which I believe we're going to hopefully soon, they would open it up there. Last time I spoke with them, and which wasn't too long ago, because they've now just moved across the way here, and they're now permanent residents within the building and taking up 4,000 square feet. They have nearly 300 employees, and they're doing sales in excess of $20 million a month.
Wow. So you worked with them from employee 1 to now 300, and they're all over the country.
And they're all over the country. And what they got here, they said they got the same, if not better, at all of the other VentureXs when they came in. So the level that was set here was easily achieved for everyone else. And their expectation was just that: walk in, turn on, and go. And what was a benefit for us at the time with the pandemic is we had some additional open space so they could safely train their employees, their sales team in such a way that was, one, COVID compliant. In Massachusetts, COVID compliance was very difficult to do, but we have the space. We had the space at the time to do it. It gave them the ability. We didn't hamstring them in their ability to train employees. They were able to ramp up very quickly. They also will, to much of their chagrin, agree that with everyone working from home and they were a door-to-door sales and in-person at-home meetings, it was very advantageous for them because everyone was home. So they will lend some success to that as well. But they did appreciate the time that they used our space here, and it was our ability and willingness to help them succeed, which is the same that anyone else that would walk through the door here would say. Back to the city of Marlborough itself, there's a lot to it there. Those team members, that company that stayed, that the reason they're in this building, not only because there was vacant space, because there's vacant space wherever, the city itself afforded them a grant to help pay for some of their furnishings when they did move, to incentivize them to stay in the city. So With that, they're now 5-year lease next door. So they're my neighbors for, well, I guess about 4 more years now, which is fantastic. And they're waiting for my training room to get opened because now and then they have overflow and they have a need for that. So again, we'll all stay together as not only as friends, but also do some business.
Yeah. I will say that's probably one of the most rewarding parts of being in our industry is the celebrating the success of the members and seeing their businesses grow and how that impacts so many other people's lives. So I love that. And I love the fact that your community there has really kind of embraced you with open arms from the beginning and supported you there, and how important those relationships are. Reaching out to the economic development department, working with the city council, and understanding kind of what their plans are to continue to invest in the business community locally. Now the community supported you. How do you give back and support the community? I know you have some really great things that you do there in the space. Give us a little bit of insight into that.
Yeah, sure. Well, some of it came out as more of a byproduct of another thing. Well, one of the unfortunate coincidences of this workspace here is there's no local convenience store. So unless if you needed that proverbial 3 o'clock bag of chips and a Diet Coke, which always seems to be the go-to combo, right? There wasn't a place for it. You'd have to get in your car, drive up the street, or walk about 10 minutes over to a place across the way to get it. And instead of just coming in and slapping in a vending machine that seems pretty I'd say impersonal. What we did was we actually put in our own honor bar snack system. And it's we funded it originally and filled it all up, and with everything that you think somebody would necessarily want snacks and drinks wise, more for your afternoon fare. And we quickly started to realize, well, there's a little bit of profit to be made here. And it's like, okay, well, I don't hinge my business on the sale or success of the sale of a couple Snickers bars. So I said, let's do something good with the money instead of. So my community coordinator came back and said, well, let's just donate it somewhere. And I said, okay, well, let's not just donate it. Let's make sure that people know that the donation is coming from our members in our community here. So we advertised it, and actually our first donation was a couple $100s that we had put together after all of the funds came in and refilled this our stock of product and everything, and we donated it to a local animal rescue league. And at the time, I had been looking at United Franchise Group, the United Franchise Group's own mission and mottos and their CARES program, which is it's a community involvement relief program that UFG hosts themselves, and I'm sure Ray Titus helped champion for corporate. And I said, well, you know what? Hey, I know UFG cares. Well, VentureX cares as well. So we're getting partnered with our local community bank here, and went out and had with the aid of Sinorama, I had the old 5-foot cardboard check made, and we had it done in melamine so we can wipe it off and reuse it. But we created the VentureX Cares program. And what we do now is we try to do about every month, provided we have a sufficient amount to donate. We donate those proceeds out to a local charity or organization of choice, most of which are picked by members. And then to name some of the recent ones, local youth soccer program that one of our members came and said, hey, K-Place is this local youth soccer program. Would you be interested in donating to that? Well, yes, of course. Why wouldn't we? Part of our community, part of their community, so on and so forth. Another is a local public school is doing a walkathon. They needed funding for T-shirts, so we were able to contribute to help provide the T-shirts for the kids, so that the kids didn't have to go out and raise funds to their own. They can just go and do this walkathon or fun run on their own. This month, we are our proceeds, and as well as we're doing a food drive for the local food pantry here in the city, and that will fold over into, and we'll donate that right before Thanksgiving. We'll do our annual Toys for Tots toy drive, which is then, of course, sponsored and helped organized by the United States Marine Corps Reserve. So a little partial to that one. So we'll do that. We'll send our community coordinator out with a fistful of funds and have her go shop galore and buy a bunch of toys. We did it last year, filled up two bins of amazing toys that we were able to donate and such like that. And it's things like that we are, we feel the need to stay involved with the community in ways in which we can. We're also right now formulating a VentureX Volunteers Day for 2023, coordinating with the city on what we can do and how we can help encourage some members to volunteer for the day, to go out to do something. And we're probably going to go to one of the city parks and help beautification process, possibly. They talked about some stuff that needs to be painted and everything like that. Everything has two folds to it. It's a great community thing. It's a great way for us to shine in the community. And as well as it's just for people to see our name, VentureX, and see what we do here from that side. And so it is it's good stuff, and it's just that.
Yeah. I think, and it highlights the nature of our business to where a lot of people look at it, oh, they're just selling office space on demand or hoteling for offices, but they forget the whole other half of what we do, which is build community and the business community aspect, and your passion for supporting your local community, I'm sure is infectious with your staff and with the members there and with the other franchisees that see what you're doing. Give us some insight into what's next there in Marlborough. You have that expansion coming up. If anyone's interested in getting in touch with you for partnerships or for membership, or just kind of interested to get know more about you, how would they get in touch with you?
I would say the easiest way to do it is go to the VentureX website and head down the locations to the Marlborough location. My contact details are there. I warmly welcome a phone call or an email of somebody interested in talking about my experience and help answer any questions if a VentureX location is good for them, whether it be from an ownership side or from a member side. Everyone has their needs from that. So that's the best way to get in touch with me from there. What's next? Right now, the expansion. I like to finish projects through before I get going with the next. I also want to see just how long we can sustain this growth. I don't have question that we can't. I just want to see it happen for a little bit and give us a little bit more firm ground to stand on here. People are saying, oh, this is just a COVID bounce. And I said, well, let me remind you, 76% before I shut. So no, it's not. There is a demand out here. I may be looking for new locations right now. And whether it be a VentureX location, who knows right now. It's a wait and see. This was a little stressful, of a couple years.
You opened up during the most trying time in our industry. So I'm confident that if you can make it through what we just made it through, then you can make it through anything, right?
Well, thank you, Ruben. I appreciate that. Some days I wonder. I mean, it's all gray. I have yet to pull it all out here. But the last couple of years, it did go from a nice brown to a solid gray. So I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to go running back into traffic so quick right now.
I totally love it. Well, it's been a pleasure to learn more about you, and I think I can speak for everyone in the audience. I'm so proud of what you've done, and I love your background, and we appreciate your service in the Marine Corps and everything you do for your community locally. So thank you so much, Ryan, for your time today, and I look forward to seeing more future successes from you.
Well, thank you, Ruben. It was a pleasure to be a part of the VentureX Xperience podcast today.
VentureX is a locally owned and globally connected portfolio of co-working spaces providing businesses with on-demand office space and services to run their company. To book a tour, visit www.venturex.com. When you need a space for your next business, X marks the spot.